Hello ladies and gentlemen, that's right, this is Lee from the Bleep Podcast, and I'm bringing you today, yes, a long and waited battle report. Yes, a Warmachine battle report, guys. I know you guys have been waiting for it for a while, but here it is in all its awesome glory. We have Cygnar versus Retribution. Yes, my friend Rich is trying out his Retribution army, and my good friend Phil, who is joining the channel, has bought his Cygnar to play. So we're going to get straight into the lists, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go with Phil's Cygnar army list, and it contained Captain Cray, yes, that guy on the horse, 1 Grenadier, 2 Minutemen, a Stormclad, some Stormblade infantry, which is a full unit of Trencher infantry, a Squire, and Captain Arlen Strangeways. And my friend Rich decided to take his Retribution this week. He took Raven, and in her battle group was a Demon, a Griffin, and his units was a full unit of Dawn Guard Invictors with the UA, the Mage Hunter Strike Force with the UA, a unit of Stormfall Archers, and a heavy rifle team. He also took an Arcanist, a Mage Hunter Assassin, and Narn Mage Hunter of Ios. And the scenario we're playing today, guys, is No Man's Land. We've played it before on this channel, but I thought this would be a really good matchup. And basically the rules are, at the end of turn 3, if you're the only army remaining in the No Man's Land, you win the game, basically, or a caster kill. Just to let you know, guys, the table we're using is one that I've actually built. It's a work in progress. There'll be a video when all the terrain is done for it as well. I went for a Kador mining colony kind of feel. But anyway, this is a long battle report, guys, so we're going to get straight into it. Take care and have a good one. Welcome back to the Bleep Up Podcast, and finally, look, we have a battle report for you guys, and 2 armies. We've got Retribution, and we've got Cygnar, and we've got Phil, who's new to the channel. Hi, Phil. And we've got Rich, who's returning, and he's bought his new army, which is Retribution. And the scenario is No Man's Land, as you can see, here in between where my hand is, that is the No Man's Land, and Phil won the dice off, so he's going to go first, and it should be a good game. What do you guys think? Who's going to go first? Let's go with Phil.
It's interesting.
Yeah? It's a lot of advanced deployment.
It is actually. It's going to be a right old fight. It's bloody Minutemen. I've always been a pain in the arse.
Oh, we love the Minutemen. There's 2 of them actually in this. There we go, there they are. And yeah, we should go straight into Cygnar turn 1. Okay, we're going to start off with Cygnar turn 1. Cray allocates 0 focus to his Warjacks and keeps all 6 for himself. Phil then activates the Stormclad, and because the Stormclad is in 3 inches within a Stormblade unit, it actually gets a free point of focus, and he spends this focus to run up the Stormclad. He then activates the Stormblades and runs them up next to the Stormclad. Phil then activates Cray and walks him up, or shall I say trots up, the board. And he casts full tilt on the Stormclad, giving it double base speed, and that will cost him 2 focus. He then casts Mage Sight for 2, more focus, which is an AoE 5 template which can reveal stealth models. He then activates the Squire and runs him up the board. Also with Arlen Strangeways, who in this game, if you look closely, guys, has no head. He then activates the first Minuteman and walks that model up. Then he'll activate the second Minuteman and also walk that model up. And Phil started the Grenadier and the Trencher unit dug in to begin with, and they all stay dug in, ending Phil's first turn. Retribution turn 1. Rich allocates 1 focus to the Demon and keeps 5 for Raven. He then activates Raven and walks her up the board. She then casts Veil of Mists, which is a cloud effect that doesn't block line of sight to friendly models, but blocks line of sight to enemy models. Then she casts Snipe on the demon, which gives it +4 range. She then pops her feat, which is called Firestorm, and it gives models in her control range gained boost attack rolls, and Swift Hunter, which allows them to move up 2 inches if they kill something. Rich then activates the Dawn Guard Invictors and moves them up. And attempts to shoot the trenches. With extended fire, they have +4 range, but unfortunately, they are out of range. He then activates the Mage Hunter Strike Force, moves them up, and attempts to shoot at the trenches. One is in and can kill the trencher because they ignore concealment, but it fails to hit, needing a 7. He then activates Narn, and he just walks up the board. He then activates the Arcanist, moves him up the board, and power boosts the Griffin because it has no focus and gives it a free point of focus. The Griffin then decides to move up the board. Rich then activates the demon and walks it up the board, and he targets the Ironclad with its range of 14, thanks to Snipe. He's in range and he needs a 7 to hit, so he boosts and gets it. Now the demon has a ranged weapon called Vortex Blast, and if it hits this target model, models that are in 2-inch radius from it are sucked in towards the target model, and they suffer half the power of the AoE from the blast damage. And as you can see, the Stormblades are under it. So Rich rolls the damage for the Ironclad first, he boosts the damage and does 4 points of damage to location 1. He then rolls damage on the Squire, and the Squire takes 8 points of damage, killing the Squire. And with all the other dice rolls, Rich also kills 4 Stormblades. He then decides to activate the Mage Hunter Assassin and moves her up next to the Warcaster. Rich then activates the Stormfall Archers. They move up and target the Stormblades, and are just in due to having Snipe. They need 7s to hit. The first one hits and needs 3 to damage him, and does so. The second guy targets the Stormclad. He hits and does no damage. The third guy targets the remaining Stormblade and misses. The fourth guy hits the same Stormblade and needs a 3 to kill him, and Rich rolls a double 1. So after all those barrage of arrows, Rich kills 1 Stormblade. He then activates the heavy rifle team. They move up the board, and that ends Retribution turn 1. End of turn 1. You can see Retribution are making their way slowly forward, and so Cygnar. So Phil, how do you think that turn went? Just a brief overview.
Better than I expected anyway.
Yeah?
A couple of double 1s never hurt. So, bloody pain in the arse.
So Rich, how do you feel? Do you feel the feat was useful?
Cheated. Double 1s again. I mean, my feet, to be honest with you, I've never liked a feat anyway. Why did you bring the caster? Because it's the only one I have, which doesn't help. Stuff wasn't in range, but I know if I waited another turn, then it wouldn't have been as effective, because hopefully I'll be in combat by next turn anyway. Cool.
All right then. So Phil, we'll get straight into Cygnar turn 2 and see how you can turn the tide of this battle. Okay, Cygnar turn 2. We have to do a command check on the Stormblade unit. They have a command of 9. Phil rolls an 8. They are perfectly fine. So Cray allocates focus. He decides to upkeep full tilt on the Stormclad and gives 2 to himself. He also allocates 2 focus to the Minuteman and 1 focus to the other Minuteman. He then activates the Trencher unit and decides to dig themselves out of their holes and move them up the board into the no man's land. And they decide to dig in once more. Phil then activates the Grenadier and loses dug in because he decides to activate it, and he moves him into base to base with 2 trenches. Phil then uses the Grenadier's ability of manual reload. This ability allows him to fire an extra shot if he is in base to base contact with trenches. So he's in base to base contact with 2 trenches, so he gets 2 extra shots. So he targets the Mage Hunter Strike Force unit 3 times, and they auto scatter due to the unit having stealth, and the diversions go nowhere interesting. So then Phil activates Arlen Strangeways and moves him up next to the remaining Stormblade and uses Power Booster and gives the Stormclad a point of focus. He then activates Cray and trots him up the board into the danger zone. And the AoE is gone, by the way. He then casts Mage Sight again, and it's cast on the Demon. And then he pops his feat, which is called Horsepower. And this feat allows Warjax to stand up immediately. Warjax in his control area can also turn in any direction immediately, and Warjax can charge for free, and they gain +2 to their movement, and melee attacks are boosted also. He then activates the Ironclad, and with a free point of focus off the Stormblade unit, he will charge into the Demon now that he has 15-inch radius for a charge. 10 inches normal due to full tilt, an extra 3 for the charge, and then 2 from the feet. So the first attack is actually with his fist on the charge, needing a 5 to hit. He does, and ends up doing 3 damage to column 2. With his second attack, it's with the sword, needing 5s to hit. He gets it and does 10 straight points of damage to column 3. He buys another attack with his sword, and it hits and does another 9 points of straight damage to column 3. He spends the last remaining focus for another attack. It hits and does 9 more points of damage, wrecking the Demon. He then activates one of the Minuteman and then spends the 1 focus to use its Jump Pack ability, which allows him to jump 5 inches in front, and he plops him down in front of Cray. The other Minuteman activates and moves, and also spends 1 focus to jump back again to cover Cray. Then he activates the lone Stormblade and moves him up the board, and that will end Okay, Retribution turn 2. Rich allocates 2 focus to the Griffin and leaves 4 on Raven, and the AoE disappears. He then activates the Mage Hunter Assassin, which charges into the Stormclad. Needing 5s to hit. She hits, and because the Mage Hunter rolls 4 dice due to damage on the charge and also being a weapons master, Rich inflicts 4, but it is doubled due to her ability, so it goes to 8 damage to location 5. Raven then activates and casts Vortex of Destruction on herself, which allows damage rolls against enemy models are boosted in her melee range. Then she charges into the Stormclad and misses on the charge. She then fires her gun because she has Gunfighter. She hits, but also does no damage. So Rich buys another attack with her blade. This time it hits and does 2 damage to location 4. So he buys one more final attack and it misses again. Moving on, Rich activates the Arcanist, moves it up to the Griffin and does the special action called Concentrated Power, giving the Griffin +2 to melee damage rolls this turn. He then activates the Griffin and walks him into combat with the Stormclad. He's in the back arc of the Stormblade, so he needs force to hit. He does get it, and does 6 damage to column 2. He then attacks with the shield. This also hits, and does 1 point of damage to column 5. He buys another attack, and it hits, and does another 5 damage to column 3. He buys one more attack, auto-hitting, because his movement has now gone, and does 2 more damage to the Stormclad. Rich then activates his Stormfall archers and moves 2 of them into combat with the Stormclad. The first archer hits and is boosted due to Vortex of Destruction, but does no damage. The second archer also hits, but again does no damage. The rest of the archers will shoot. The first one will shoot at the lone Stormblade. It hits. Rich chooses the Star Strike shot, which basically does no damage but sets models on fire in an AoE. The second archer is out of range to target the Minuteman, which is on fire. The heavy rifle team take a shot at the lone Stormblade, and needing 5s to hit, it hits and kills the last Stormblade. The Mage Hunter Strike Force is activated next, and they move into the No Man's Land and target the trenches, and with all the dice rolls, they kill 4 trenches. The Dawn Guard Invictors are activated next, and they move up. And target the Grenadier. They do some combined range attacks and deal a total of 11 damage to location 2. Narn then decides to charge the Grenadier. He needs a 6 to hit. It hits, and because he has Weapons Master and plus another dice for charging. He deals out 9 damage to column 2. His second attack hits, and he does 10 more damage to column 6, and that wrecks the Grenadier. And if Narn destroys an enemy model, he can make a full advancement after he kills something, and he goes into base to base with the 2 remaining trenches, ending Rich's second turn. Okay, so the end of turn 2. Quite an epic turn. We'll get to Rich first. Rich, these dice rolls, man.
Bloody I couldn't. Just double ones. You know, it was crazy, and I still didn't kill the storm clad. Still couldn't kill it, so now my warcaster's in danger, and it's looking pretty bad at the moment.
Okay, so. Phil, what do you think?
I'm pretty pleased. I can see 2 ways to try and finish this turn. Well, this turn coming. There's only the mage hunters and the independent in the control zone. And also I've got my heavy, which has only got its 2 cortex boxes left, but if I stick 3 focus on it, I can boost my damage rolls and my crippled limbs. And the whacking 6 power strength 19.
So it looks like a big fist, and it's all going to come down to this combat. So we're going to come back with, Cygnar turn 3. Okay, kicking off Cygnar turn 3, we're going to do some fire tests. On a 1 or 2, it goes out. Cray's fire goes out. The Minuteman actually fails and takes a power 12 hit and is actually cooked for 1 point of damage to column 6. So, moving off from that, we have focus allocation. Cray puts 2 focus on the Minuteman, who's on fire, and keeps 4 for himself. Phil then activates the Trencher unit, and he decides to move them out of combat. They get free striked by Narn, and they all get slaughtered. He then activates Arlen Strangeways and walks him into the No Man's Land, and uses his ability Power Booster to give the Minuteman a point of focus. He then activates the Minuteman and moves him up the No Man's Land. And spends 1 focus to jump into base-to-base contact with 2 members of the Mage Hunter Strike Force. And then he'll use his free ability called Flak Field, which is an AoE blast, and it kills the 2 Mage Hunters and affects 2 others, but only kills 1 of them. He then targets the Mage Hunter Strike Force, needing 8s to hit the Mage Hunter. He misses the first shot, but his second shot hits and kills another mage. The second Minuteman, who's on fire, advances up the No Man's Land and then spends 1 focus to jump into base to base with Narn and activates Flak Field and kills Narn. Cray then activates and moves up the No Man's Land also. He then casts Mage Sight and puts it onto the Mage Hunter Strike Force. And then he does some shooting at the Mage Hunter Strike Force. The first shot he boosts and hits and kills 1. He then buys a second shot but misses. Rich then does a command check on the Mage Hunter Strike Force, but they pass. But back to Cray. He then can move an additional 5 inches due to being a cavalry model, so he moves him an extra 5. The Stormclad then activates and, rolling 1 less die because his arms are crippled, needing 6s to hit the archer, he actually misses. And that ends Phil's turn 3. Okay, Rich's turn 3 for Retribution. Raven upkeeps Vortex of Destruction and puts 3 focus on the Griffin and keeps 2 for herself. Rich then activates the Mage Hunter Assassin and attacks the Stormclad. Anything but a double 1 to hit. She hits and ends up doing a whopping 12 damage to the Stormclad, wrecking it. Rich then activates the Griffin and spends 1 focus to use his ability Fleet to gain +2 movement, and will charge Arlen Strangeways. He needs a 4 to hit. He hits and only does 3 damage to him, leaving him with 2 hitboxes. Then he attacks with the shield and misses. Dawn Guard Invictors then are activated and stand still and shoot Cray. The first group will combine range. They hit and only do 1 point of damage with a -2 to their roll. The second group will shoot Cray, needing 4s to hit. They hit and -1 again on this to the damage roll, and Rich rolls a 4, only doing 3 points of damage to Cray. He then activates the Stormfall Archers and they run into the No Man's Land. The Heavy Rifle team activate next, and they also run up the board. The Mage Hunter Strike Force charge into the Barbecued Minuteman. Only 1 can charge in though, and so the others walk in. The Mage Hunter who charged in misses, and then the second one also misses. Rich then activates Raven. She moves across the board. And then he activates the Arcanist, which just walks up the board also, ending Rich's turn 3. Okay, end of turn 3. Wow, what a turn. Possible 2 caster kills, and we'll hear from these guys because I love when you guys comment on these videos. So Phil, explain to the audience why you couldn't go for the caster kill.
I couldn't get the caster kill because the Jack was only on 2 boxes, just for Cortex, so I had no arms. 3 focus on it. I could have paid to boost the attack to bring me back up to 2 attack dice, but the caster's defense is 15, so I'm still looking at 8s on 2 dice, which wasn't great. And then buying a second attack, I'd still have to boost to hit, and I'd still only be rolling 1 dice for damage, so mathematically I didn't think I could do it. And over here, I messed it up. I think I could have killed the whole squad of Mage Hunters, so instead of going for the solo with the Minuteman, I should have put full tilt on it and just walked it 12 inches, jumped it into base to base with 2 of those guys, killed them off, and then used my caster to do 1 shot against the solo and then 1 shot against the remaining remaining Mage Hunter. But
yeah, that's how it rolls. Now, Rich, we come to you, and it's those dice again, buddy.
3s. It's that simple.
I know.
It's bad. It's the room. I don't
buy
like.
new dice.
Yeah, buy new dice. I like these dice though. It's the only problem. They're my Dark Elf dice, and they've worked for me in the past, but no, not now.
So
bit of a pain.
Bit of a pain, but it's
two combat combined range attacks against the caster just ended up being pointless. How many? 4 damage. 4 damage.
When you could have possibly done, well, let's think, 2 dice -2. Could have done 20 damage if you rolled like boxcars. So,
yeah. But no, it didn't happen. So
No.
that's the way it is. So now we go to turn 4, I guess.
yeah, turn 4, and it is looking very, very good, guys. So, turn 4. Cygnar turn 4. Focus allocation. 3 goes to Cray, 2 on the normal Minuteman, and 1 on the barbecued Minuteman. Now the barbecued Minuteman's fire is still burning, so he has to do a check, and he doesn't pass it, so he ends up taking a whopping 8 points of damage to column 2. Phil activates Cray, and he will cast full tilt on the normal Minuteman, giving him a double base speed. Then he'll move round into the Mage Hunter Strike Force and his first attack misses, so he buys another attack. So then Phil activates the normal Minuteman and walks up the no man's land. With double his speed, so 12 inches, he'll then spend a focus to jump into base to base with the heavy rifle team's spotter, just out of the caster's base by literally half an inch. He then uses his free action flak field, hitting the spotter with a power 12, and does 6 damage on the caster, the sniper, and the arcanist. So he kills the spotter, he misses the caster, and he misses the sniper, but he also kills the arcanist. The Minuteman will then try to throw the caster. He hits and beats the strength roll, and he throws the caster Raven into the sniper, but does no damage to the sniper or Raven, but Raven is knocked down due to being thrown. Phil then activates Arlen's Strange Ways and decides to move him out of combat, and in doing so he is killed by the free strike from the Griffin. He then activates the barbecued Minuteman and moves around the Mage Hunters and takes a free strike from one of them, and the free strike hits and deals 1 point of damage. Then the Minuteman will spend the 1 focus to jump and is in base to base contact with 3 Dawn Guard Invictors, and he uses his ability Flak Field and kills the 3 that are in base to base and kills another one in the AoE's blast range, ending Phil's turn 4. Retribution turn 4, the Dawn Guard Invictors do a leadership check and they pass with no problem. Focus allocation. He gives 3 to the Griffin and Rich puts 2 on Raven and decides to upkeep Vortex of Destruction. The Dawn Guard move into combat with the barbecued Minuteman. He needs 5s to hit, 1 hits, and does 6 damage to column 5. The second guy attacks but misses, and the third guy also misses. He then activates the Mage Hunter Assassin, charges the Minuteman with a slither of a line of sight call. She then charges him, and she has a 4-inch range, remember. So she needs a 5 to hit. She hits and deals a whopping 10 damage to column 1, wrecking the barbecued Minuteman. Rich then activates Raven and forfeits her movement because she was knocked down. So she actually fails her first attack, but she has Gunfighter, and that attack hits and does 7 damage to column 1. And then Rich buys another attack and misses, so he buys another attack and it hits, and it does 8 damage to column 5. The Griffin then is activated and spends a focus to get Fleet, which is a +2 movement bonus, and then spends a focus to charge Cray, but he's short. The heavy sniper team then runs into the No Man's Land for their activation. And then the Stormfall archers run up into the No Man's Land also. Then this Mage Hunter Strike Force turn and attack Cray. With a combined melee attack, they hit and do 4 damage to Cray, ending Rich's turn 4. Okay, Okay, end of turn 4. As you can see, there's a lot of casualties on each side. And guys, what do you think of the game so far then? We'll start with Phil.
Interesting. It's a good job it's not time turns anyway.
Yeah, you've still got some models on the board, but it's looking quite slim. He's got 2, but you never know what can happen, especially in Warmachine. What are you thinking, Rich?
It's now just going to be chase the caster.
Yeah.
And try and get rid of him somehow. Gonna have to bide my time. I can. He can't. So I'll be fine. I've got more stuff than he has.
Okay, so we're going to come back with Cygnar turn 5 and see what happens. See who can win. Okay, Cygnar turn 5. Cray will keep all his focus this turn. The Minuteman moved base to base with the caster and uses his flak field ability. And this ability does 4 damage to Raven. Cray then activates and attacks the Mage Hunter Strike Force. He spends 1 focus to hit and hits and kills 1 mage. He then spends another focus for another attack and 1 to boost to hit. It hits and kills the last Mage Hunter. He then casts Pursuit on the Griffin. This spell is a useful spell because if the Griffin or target model advances towards Cray, he can make a full advance. He boosts to hit the Griffin and it hits. He then moves an additional 5 inches due to being on a horse/cavalry, ending Phil's turn 5. Retribution turn 5. Raven keeps all her focus because the Griffin is out of range. Raven then runs out of combat, but is luckily for her that the free strike misses. The heavy rifle team then turns and targets the Minuteman, but their shot misses. The Stormfall archers then target the Minuteman and do a whopping 9 points with brutal shots, etc., and they end up wrecking the Minuteman. The Dawn Guard Invictors will then run up the board Then Rich activates the Griffin, and he will just move up 6, and Cray will decide not to move. The Mage Hunter Assassin will run into the No Man's Land, and that will end Rich's turn 5. Okay, Cygnar turn 6. Cray upkeeps Pursuit on the Griffin and keeps 5 focus on himself. He'll then shoot one of the Dawn Guard Invictors and pays 1 to boost to hit. It hits, and then he boosts the damage also, killing it. He then buys another shot and boosts to hit, and hits, and then boosts the damage, killing that Vanguard also. He then moves 5 inches away, camping on 1 focus to end Phil's turn 6. Retribution turn 6. There has to be a command check on the Dawn Guard, and they pass it. Raven then allocates 3 focus to herself and 3 to the Griffin. The Dawn Guard Invictors declare a charge on Cray, but they're just out. The Griffin then charges Cray. But because of Pursuit, Cray ignores free strikes and he moves around and out of reach of the Griffin. the Mage Hunter Assassin charges into Cray. With a reach of 4 inches, she is in. So she needs a 7 to hit. She hits just, and because her damage exceeding the armor of the target model is doubled, she gets a whopping 10, killing Cray and winning the game. So here we have Phil's model of the match. Phil, why did you pick your Warcaster?
Because it's basically Clint Eastwood for Warmachine.
Okay, fair play. We'll come back with Rich's model of the match. Rich's model of the match is the Mage Hunter Assassin. I wonder why. Rich?
Well, she killed the caster at the end. She took out, finished off another Minuteman. And did she, what else?
I think she killed the
big guy as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was an absolute, as we like to say, for a game. She 2 points?
2 points.
Very good for 2 points. Thank you guys for watching. Sorry it's taken so long in making this video, but as you can see, this was an amazing battle report. Thank you for all your support, and yeah guys, don't forget to check out DICERAGE. They are amazing, trust me. Some of the guys that actually I plug on this channel and that are on my feed, they are a part of DICERAGE as well, so check out their battle reports. And if you've enjoyed this battle report, please, please, please guys, subscribe if you want to see more content, and also like it. If it generates a lot of likes, I know I'm doing something right. I know one of my battle reports is getting a ton of likes at the moment, and I like to see this because obviously it means I want to get more of those armies on. So yes guys, looking forward into the future of the battle reports. We've got a few more matches lined up. We've got Kurt, who uses Trollbloods. We're going to get him in on a game, and a few others as well who you haven't seen before, but new armies are coming, which is exciting. So yeah guys, thank you for all your subscriptions, thank you for all your comments. Don't forget to comment below if you liked or what could have happened or anything. I love hearing the banter between you guys, and yeah, don't forget to like it and tell your friends and share this video. Okay guys, until next time, take care and have a good one, and happy wargaming.